You know, one of the best parts of modern medicine and technology is the power to heal us, but also prevent us from getting sick in the first place. And here to tell us how genetic counseling can benefit us is Marianne Vivien from Overlake Cancer Center. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is so fascinating to me. I've had genetic counseling done, but for those who haven't, what is it?
So a genetic counselor is a medical professional with a graduate degree in medical genetics and counseling. And just like doctors have their specialties, so do genetic counselors. I happen to work in cancer. So anyone who has been diagnosed with cancer, has a family history of cancer, could really benefit from genetic counseling, learning about what testing options might be available to them, screening options, really just anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. I lost both parents to cancer. So I said, hey, but I have to ask you, so you said you have a graduate in both genetic counseling and in genetics and counseling?
Yes. So it is a specialized graduate degree, a master's program in genetic counseling specifically. So we study medical genetics, we study counseling. There's a lot of psychosocial and emotional support that goes with genetic testing.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of everything.
So it is important because it is emotional. When is it most useful?
So ideally, well, let me rephrase that. Generally, genetic testing is really for anybody who's curious, who just wants to know what their risk might be.
Okay.
But some things that we look for if you have been diagnosed with cancer at a younger age, so 50s or younger, or have had multiple cancers yourself. There's a family history, if multiple generations have been affected with cancer. Those are all clues to us, patterns that we look for that make us suspicious that maybe there is some underlying genetic predisposition.
Okay. I remember when I did this, I filled out a lot of information, but some people may not have access to their family records. Is it still helpful to them if they don't know their family history?
Whatever you know, you know.
Okay.
We definitely recommend trying to get that information, having those conversations with family members, asking who was diagnosed with what and at what age is really helpful. It allows us, to better assess somebody's risk. But ultimately, it's not something that we absolutely need. We can still do genetic testing without having that information.
And see the different markers that may be there, right?
Exactly. We're basically looking at your cancer genes, and normally our cancer genes are supposed to protect us from developing tumors or cancer in the first place.
Right.
But if you're born with a mutation or you inherit essentially that change in your DNA from a parent, then you might be at an increased risk to develop cancer over your lifetime.
All right. So I've done the work. I found some of my history, and I've come to you. Walk me through the process. What is it like?
So you would meet with me, a genetic counselor. We'll ask you a bunch of questions about your family history. Again, whatever you know, you know.
Yeah.
We'll talk through your testing options, benefits and limitations of testing, cost of testing, insurance coverage, all that fun stuff. Ultimately, there's never any obligation to do the test.
Right.
We're just here to help facilitate that process, guide you through that process.
Okay. What is the testing like? Is it a blood draw? What's going on?
It could be a blood draw, a saliva sample. Sometimes we could just take a swab and get your cheek cells.
Okay.
So really, genetic testing, we can do genetic testing through a variety of ways.
So it's simple. It's not like a huge process. You just have to swab me. I love that. So why should we choose Overlake for genetic counseling services?
Yeah, so the Overlake Cancer Center has a board-certified genetic counselor with expertise in cancer genetics, but we also have a high-risk surveillance cancer clinic with a dedicated nurse practitioner.
Okay.
So her and I team up to guide patients through that process with compassion and care. We understand it can be a very scary process. Patients can be very anxious. We're there to answer your questions, address any concerns, explain results to you in an easy way to understand, also that you can kind of make whatever decisions for your own care.
So important, because I don't have a degree in genetics, so I need those explained. So a quick question, can you find something like the BRCA gene with this testing?
Absolutely.
And what happens if you do find that?
So we're not only looking for the BRCA gene, we're looking at any and all cancer genes that we currently are aware of.
And if you find it, what do we do?
So there are plenty of things that we can do. There is screening available, so some type of imaging. People can start screening at earlier ages, doing it more frequently than the average person, or having access to screening that you wouldn't otherwise be doing.
Right.
The whole point of all of this is to either catch cancer at an early treatable stage or prevent it from happening altogether.
Man, this is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. I think it is so fascinating and such a great way we can take ownership and control of our health. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And if you want to learn more about what we discussed today with Overlake Cancer Center, just visit the website you see right there on your screen, overlakehospital.org/genetic counseling.
This portion of New Day Northwest is sponsored by Overlake Medical Center,